On to hunting usernames and accounts. Now, this is pretty straightforward, but I want to show you some different tools that we can utilize that are web based and just kind of get your wheels spinning on what you should be doing and what you should be looking for when you are hunting usernames and accounts. Now, there are also tools that are great in terms of being able to use on Linux, and we'll cover those later in the course. But for now, we'll stick with the website based tools. Now, when we talk about hunting usernames, let's say that we have somehow identified a username, or maybe that's all we're given. Sometimes when we have an investigation, say somebody's harassing somebody else, just as an example, all we have is a username in that person. And perhaps we could take that username and try to find if it's been used anywhere else and then start chaining our information together. So that's kind of what we're going to look for now is how can we start hunting down usernames and tying them to other accounts, or how can we tie them to other profiles? So you can do this on your own, by the way. I think this is a good trial run to just see if you have any accounts out there for any of these profiles that maybe you forgot about and you want to delete, etc. But what I'm going to show you is this website here called Namecheck. Now, these first three websites all do the same thing. What's going on this website, and I'll put this in the resources, by the way, and it's namechk.com. What it's doing is it's actually seeing what usernames are available. So if you search for a username and it's not available, then it will show you that it's not available. So it's trying to help you find accounts for these websites. So what we can do is we can come in here and just say like the Cyber Mentor, and we search, and it'll say, hey, what's available? So the cybermentor.com, not available. I have that as a website, so that makes sense. But any of these other websites are available. But when we come down to usernames, there is no YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Reddit, or Pinterest, or Medium, or Keybase. That's interesting. I don't even. If there's a Cyber Mentor Pinterest, this is news to me. Let's go ahead and check it out and see what's there. And it just says something went wrong. So this could be a false positive right here. But this tells you kind of where I might have accounts and where I don't have accounts. And then this one says there's too many redirects, so we don't know for sure. But all these other places, I don't have accounts. So what you're doing is you're trying to see, okay, where does this user have an account? This user has an account on YouTube. I'm going to check out this YouTube account. And now you found me right here, right? So there's my YouTube, and here's my Twitter, and here's my Twitch. And so say you actually had a user that you were doing research on, or a username, you could start tying these different accounts here. And that's all that these websites really do is you're just looking to see if you can tie them in. Now, Pastebin, Trip, I don't know what Trip is, Hacker News, some of these stuff I don't even know. So sometimes these could be false positives. But there's useful information here in terms of Telegram, potentially Pastebin, although Pastebin's kind of been really restricted as of late. And then you can come in here to these other websites too. And just because one says one thing, you might want to check other websites and just see. Now, this will look up X-rated materials as well, so just be careful when you're searching for this stuff. You can do the alt exclude, which is the default. When I show you later with Recon NG how to do this, this will actually include the X-rated stuff as well. So just make sure that you're cognizant and aware and etc. But X-rated is good depending on the investigation you're doing. If you're trying to find, say, like a child predator or something, and maybe they're on X-rated websites, or somebody that's involved in that kind of stuff that you might be hunting down. It doesn't hurt to try to find usernames in bad places too, because sometimes that's where you might have to look. But here you can see again, Keybase, Spotify, Medium, Twitch, Telegram, Patreon, the Internet Archive, Reddit, and Twitter. So you can come through here. It also has the category link. You can dump this out to Excel or CSV or PDF. So this is really nice. And it just kind of tells you, what you've got out here. Last one, namecheckup.com. Same thing. I'm not going to run this again. Now, what I do want to show you are a couple of other neat tricks that I've found in the past. One is that if you're looking for other accounts, maybe accounts that just don't show up here, and I'm thinking mobile apps, okay? So I'm not going to get on mobile and show you, but start thinking of the mobile apps that you might use, like a TikTok or a Kick or Snapchat or Telegram, which was on this name checker, and what things that you might be able to see from this. So I just typed in random names here. I went to kick.me and /Mav because I tried typing in Maverick to see. Now this came up as a user of Virginia Thompson. say we had a username of Mav that we were searching, but maybe say it's like Mav something unique, like 123725, I don't know. And that tied back to this person. Now we have it confirmed, hey, here's a name that ties to this account. Maybe at this point we didn't have a name at all. So this could be a potential tie to a name. Even better, what happens sometimes is you're searching, say something like Kick, and you have somebody like this where the name is Heat. This one says add Lux Hustler, but here you can see that there's an image, and the really nice thing is you can right click and you can open this image in a new tab, and guess what? You see that little crop? You get the whole image. Now what can you do with this image? You could save this image. You can try to go and see if you can find this on a reverse image search. This in particular looks like it has to deal with Michael Jordan, and you could see the Space Jam Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls Michael Jordan. So this is interesting as well, but doesn't really have any ties to anything right here. But the nice idea is what you could see is you can right click, view the image, actually go back and then start working with this image as well if you can find that. Same thing with Snapchat. A lot of these companies have username enumeration. So if there is a particular email or a particular username you want to try and see if you can find if that account exists, you can come in here, just type it in, and then try logging in. So I just came in and typed in the Cyber Mentor, and I went and just typed this, hit login. You can see it says cannot find the user. Now, if you try something else, I'm going to try, I saw Adele. I'm just going to see if that works. I'm trying something just common that would perhaps work. This one says cannot find the user either. So if you had a working username, it should work here where it says, hey, this is a valid user. Same thing with the email. And then the other thing that you can do, and this happens on a lot of applications, is you can come in, and this is just a picture I grabbed, but this, if you ever use Snapchat, if you slowly type in the username, you perhaps can see possible usernames. See how they're typing in Adele, and you see Adele, but they also see this Adelaide Crows. You have options here where maybe you see this, but like if you're hunting a specific username, the other thing that you might see is you might have this username down here, but then you have a full name. Just like the Kick, right? Like the Virginia Thompson, somebody might have their full name in here when you type in that username. And then again, you just have more information disclosed to you. So that's what you're looking up here. I'll provide all these references down below, but what I want you to be thinking about is doing these name checks, finding out where a username could exist or does exist and correlating those to other accounts, digging in and seeing, like, Reddit's a great one. Like if I go to Reddit, what post history do I have for this user? What do they have? You see, I'm posting all about my YouTube here. But like you could see different sorts of things that I posted. Maybe I have a Reddit history that discloses information about me or something along those lines, right? Like this is the stuff that you could start tying in more and more and more information and verifying, that it belongs to that person as well. But once you have that in mind as well, think about things that aren't on this list, perhaps like Skype, Kick, Snapchat, Telegram, TikTok. Think about all the different types of apps where you might be able to type in a name or an email address or something and then correlate that back. So get your wheels spinning, start thinking like an investigator, thinking outside the box, and just don't rely on tools as well, rely on manual methodology is the point I'm trying to get at. So that is it for this lesson and this section, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next section. Have you ever typed your name into Google just to see what happens? And you see some information about yourself, whether it be your phone number, your address, your work address, your email, any of that stuff, and you're just wondering, how the heck is this information gathered? Well, that's a lot of us. I think that's probably happened to a good majority of us. And this data is gathered from all different sorts of locations. It's data that can be sold from one location to another. It could be perhaps from a data breach, perhaps from voter records, perhaps from your credit report. There's a lot of places this data could be sourced from. But the big point to note is that this data is out there. So what I'm going to show you are a bunch of websites, and I'll link them all down in the description below. And there are plenty more beyond what I'm even going to show you. But I'm just going to show you what the websites are, what they do, and the techniques behind them. The only caveat is for this video in particular, I am not going to show you any searching. I think that privacy is important. I think that we should not be looking into people in particular when it comes to names, addresses, phone numbers. I will show you one on myself so that way you can see it because it's going to come up again in a later section. And I am comfortable showing it because it's me. But otherwise, I do not want to reveal anybody's information, but I will show you these. So please use these responsibly. Now, I've kind of got these ordered in the way that I would use them. White Pages and True People Search are two of the best, in my opinion. Now, again, these are also kind of grain of salt. If somebody knows how to go into one of these and ask for their information to be removed, that can happen, though I would guess that a good majority of people aren't doing that, but somebody who's trying to cover their tracks might. Now, on all of these websites, they kind of have the same thing across the board. Basically, what you are using are search engines for people. So you can come in here, and a lot of these are US based. Now, I understand that not everybody watching this course right now is in the US. A lot of these are US based, although some of this can be used to tie to other people, and it could be used to tie to other countries. I'm sorry that this section is kind of US ish, but please just kind of follow along and then use the concepts, apply the concepts to your location. Just understand that this data is out there and do a little bit of your own Google OSINT and find where you're at and how it can tie. Now, some of these places like White Pages might have an extension for other countries. Like whitepages.com is the US. They might have other white pages for other countries. So keep that in mind as if you want to change the address here to your country code, it might actually work and allow you to access as well. And you might be able to search through this down here, but I'm just going to proceed with the US version of this. So with this being said, you can come in here and search for people by name and then city, state, zip if you want, or zip. You could do reverse phone number, reverse address. So say you have an address, but you don't have a name. So you have a phone number, but you don't have a name. Say you have a business you want to search. That's basically what all of these up here do. Okay. One form or another. Now, White Pages and True People Search, in my opinion, at this time of this recording, are the best at the game. It used to be that there was a website called People that I really liked, PIPL. They kind of moved off of that platform into like a paid platform, and now it's just some weird site. Here for the free resources, True People Search and White Pages are fantastic. Same thing with reverse phone, reverse address search. I have typed in people's phone numbers in here. I will always type a phone number that's calling me into Google to see who it is. Not every time does it show up. A lot of times I come into White Pages, type that in, and sure enough, it's accurate. So this is something to keep in mind. I know we haven't gotten to phone number OSINT yet, but this is something to think about as well, is just typing in a phone number, typing in a name, trying to find a location of a person. So you can use this to narrow down information on people. You might be able to find, say, a middle name where you didn't have a middle name before, or a middle initial. You might be able to find an age or a birthday or an address. You might be able to find relatives or people that are similar to these people. There is potential for false information on here. I looked myself up on all these pages. I don't think I actually showed up on many, maybe one, and there was quite a bit of false information on there. So sometimes this will say that people have criminal records and stuff like that, where that's just not the case. I think it's trying to make you buy more information. But for the most part, you can take what you see and use that and do further research and see if you can verify the data that you are seeing in front of you. So White Pages, True People Search, really good. Fast People Search, similar website. Fast Background Check, really similar website to this. WebMe, WMII is a good one. I just searched my name in here, and you could see what comes up about me. Now, not all of this is accurate. Again, TCM Security from LinkedIn, my Twitter profile. I do not have a public Facebook, nor is this me on Instagram. But they are coming through and seeing that maybe there's results on a hacker. I would be surprised that I'm in any of these videos, but this is me right here. Actually, this is a review on my course I didn't even know existed. So I'm finding stuff here that that I didn't even know about. So here is potentially some public record information. Here are people that I might know, which I'm looking through all of these. And outside of maybe this last little bit here, I know Chris Roberts, Chris Hadnagy, and Neil Fallon. The rest of these, I don't really recognize the names. So they're trying to pull the data down. Here they're pulling down images and videos and stuff like that from Google. A lot of this is tied to me. So this is, again, just more information that you can put out here. A lot of this is also not me. So you kind of have to go through and do your research and see what you can find, what you can't find. PQ, another resource. 411, another resource. Spokio, another resource. And then that's them is another resource as well. You can use this for phone. You can use this for people, addresses, IP addresses, and a lot of these have the ability to search by IP address as well. So if you find an IP address, say you have an IP address that's like harassing you, or something that you've been able to capture. Again, I'm going back to harassment, but if you have something where you have an IP address and you need to research it, you can come here and try to research this IP address. Same thing with the data breaches too. You could potentially research it there. You could try to track down an IP address to a location, or at least this might provide a specific location, but you can also identify IP addresses as to at least a generic location. So here I searched me in Heath Adams in Charlotte, North Carolina, because this is where I used to live. I wanted to see what they can find out about me. Here they have my old address, which we'll find out in a later video where they're likely pulling this address from and how easy it is to kind of pull these addresses. But here's an example of this address. You can click on this address and perhaps it'll say who else has lived here. So this person lived there before me, which is accurate. My wife, which is accurate. My wife, which is accurate. So you could pull down information this way as well. And then, yeah, you just keep clicking through, getting information, going from there. On top of that, the other thing I want to show you is that we have Google. Don't forget about Google. Now, did we identify any information about me here? We have Heath Adams, Heath M. Adams. Okay, so here you can see if we type Heath Adams in Charlotte, not a whole lot comes through. You might find some business information on me. You see some of my courses, maybe some pictures. There's actually my resume, so that could be of use. But if you come through here and you start saying like Heath M. Adams, Charlotte, now Spokio comes up, okay? And then you might be able to find what my middle name is or what my birthday is, stuff like that. Like you could start trying to dig in and seeing if I come up here. You found like, here's an example of a business address that I have. This is if you actually go to this address, this is just like a UPS box. But like they have stuff that ties back to me. The more you search, the better off you're going to be. This was an old address that I lived at in Ohio when I was in Ohio. So there is potential here. Again, if you want to search for a middle name, or you could search for a full name, you could search through some of these websites. There's also cache data here, which we haven't talked about cache data, but you can click in here and see the cache. Maybe it's something that's been deleted, but now you can go back and search the cache and see if there's anything that's changed from here. So a lot of thought that you can do, a lot of maneuvering that you can do. I would say start with websites, but do not forget about Google. Google is your best friend. And then you can use some of your advanced searching here as well if you want to try to really narrow it down and look for certain things. But that's it for this video. We're going to go ahead and start talking about different topics and more specific on the hunting and what you can do. But this is a good overview of just searching for people through search engines. So I'll catch you over in the next video. What I'm about to show you is an incredibly powerful or potentially powerful way to gain information. I know I stressed this before and I keep stressing this, but please only use this tactic or this method as a way to obtain information in an active investigation that you have full permission to be conducting. So with that being said, voter records. Here in the United States, we have to register to vote. When you register to vote, some states make your voter record information public. That includes a lot of details. I want to kind of show you what this looks like because I am actually a victim of this. So if we look at voter records, you can actually go to voterrecords.com. You can see the states here and District of Columbia that you could actually look at and search for the states that have public records. Now, again, it's no secret that I've lived in North Carolina. North Carolina has public voter records. You come here, you type in my name. The more specific you can be, the better off you are. If you're in the US and you're one of these states, go ahead and try giving it a go. Come here and you hit search, and fairly straightforward. you can see where I definitely have been registered twice on this list. There's 40 pages, but at least twice I see one. I see one in Ohio. This is me. You can see, hey, he's 31. And then there's another one down here, right here, for Charlotte, North Carolina. Heath M. Adams. Let's click it. And now look what you see about me. Look, you see that I was listed at this address. Remember, we saw this address before. This is the address that I registered at. This is public information. Had I been registered in the last 2 years or however long it is, as long as I'm actively registered or inactively registered, actually, a lot of times you can gather this information and find out where somebody lives. So, again, here's my old address. You can see what party I'm affiliated with. I'm a white male, what county I'm registered in, etc. So you can come down here, you can see when my registration date was, if I'm verified, all this wonderful information about me. And then there's detailed voting records and stuff down here that this goes to Truth Finder. So this is kind of like not, this is salesy. I wouldn't click on that stuff. But from this point, like at least you have this information in front of you. Now, if there is a person that you're searching for in these types of records, you can go to that specific state if you can find them and try to search through that state's voting records or that county's voting records and see if you can gather any more information. Although this will really tell you the address, it will tell you if they're active. Like here's a voter status active, which just means that the registration hasn't expired. So you know that within the last 2 years, I was registered to vote at some point in time. So, I mean, this is useful information if you're tracking down a subject or you're conducting an investigation and you're trying to find information on somebody within a specific county. You can have perhaps at least a known address at some time, or perhaps the actual address that that person is at. So this is a short video, but powerful video. I think this information is, I don't think should be public. I'm anti-releasing this kind of information because even as an investigator, I think that I don't think it should be out there. But that's my personal opinion. But anyway, that's it for this video. We're going to move on to the next video and continue on with People OSINT. Now let's talk about hunting phone numbers. Now there's a few different ways that we can hunt phone numbers, and I've sourced these from a collection of different OSINT resources. But here's kind of the methodology that I would try to use or take. And I kind of mentioned this in an earlier video, but I'm going to go back to this and just kind of talk through it. Now, we have a few different things that we can do. I think Google is the best first resource that we should take, and we can just kind of go to Google. Anytime I'm getting a phone call, I just rush to Google and try to type it in and see. I don't like answering the phone if I don't know the number because they're mostly spam nowadays. So I'll go to Google, I'll try searching it. And what you might have happen is something like this. You might search, like, I'm going to give an old number that I used to have, 967-8163, and try to search this. Okay, and you get phone lookupper, and you get these different things, and you really don't see any sort of information. We could try opening these. We could tell that the caller is coming from Albuquerque, New Mexico, but we really don't know. And a lot of these websites are kind of sketch. We really don't have any idea what they are. Now, this is saying that we're getting a Leap Wireless, aka Cricket. So maybe somebody with Cricket owns this phone number now. Again, this is an old one for me, so who knows? But when I was on it, I was not on Cricket. Same thing here. We try to do a search, and who knows what we find out? Nothing here. These are just trying to tell you if they're a safe caller or not. We don't have any sort of information on this. So Google searches, hit or miss. If it's a person, sometimes it shows up. If it's a business, it'll show up a lot more. There's also different ways to search for this. So we're searching without hyphens. Let's try searching with hyphens. And again, this mostly applies to the US, but the same methodology can be used for other locations as well. So if you come here and you try searching, you could see that it brought up different searches. Now we've got 996 results. So if you think that maybe you have a name that you could try to tie to it, there are different websites you could try down here as well, but it's always kind of iffy. Some of the websites we talk through, again, on these search engines, like the whitepages.com, for example, when I used whitepages to search a number, it'll show up even though it's not showing up in Google. So that is something to think about as well. But the different syntax that you can have here and the different phone number types that you can have here, could change things up. Like you might want to put this in quotes here, but like 505-967, and then you want to try to search for different things and see if you can get this to pull up in any different kind of way. But um, other things that I've seen of interest. Now, I have seen things spelled out before. So I've done this myself. So say that you like are posting your an ad online. Say you're posting an ad on Craigslist and you're trying to sell something and you want people to text you or call you, but you don't want your phone number to get picked up by automated bots, which will happen. If you post your phone number like this, a bot will just come scrape this, pick it up, and you'll get phone calls or all kinds of weird stuff. So what people might do is they might come in here and they might say something like 505, and then they might spell it out completely like 967. They might do variations of this. They might do 967-8163. So there's different ways that you might have to try to search this. And you might have to just see what works best for you. So it really depends. Like I don't assume this is going to show up, but maybe something like this, and then you have different searches here, where 505 is part of the search, and you see if you can draw anything else here. But these can get pretty complicated because you can have a bunch of and statements or statements here, or they would be or statements, but different or statements to see if you can get this to come out. But the other thing that I've seen too are emojis might work when you're doing searching. So if you like look up a phone emoji, you can copy and paste the phone emoji into here, like this mobile. Like say this one for an example. Use copy this. And some websites use this if you're trying to search for a phone number. So like you might be looking for a specific business or something like that uses this. And they might show up in their searching as well. So it's interesting to use emojis. These are kind of just like wonky search tactics, but my go-to and my methodology here would be to just kind of come through here and just do a search on the number, search in white pages, see if you can find it. There are a couple of databases that you could also look through. Truecaller is one. Truecaller is basically like a caller ID system that you have to log into. So I would not log in on anything that you care about or a phone number because this does pull down your contacts. You can have this on your phone and you can have this online. I'm using a Gmail account for a free search. Now you can come in here and try to do a quick search. So we'll try this again, the 505-967-8163, and see if this pulls down anybody. And what this is doing is going through different phones that have stored this number. Like if this number has been stored, it gets added to this database. And then you get to see, okay, here's the person who maybe has this phone number. And then you could see here they're on Verizon Wireless in Albuquerque, New Mexico. All right, so we don't know if this person is actually the right person or not, but this is somebody at one point named Jolynn Peters had this phone number because they were stored in somebody's phone that logged in with the Truecaller app. So again, this is why you do not want to use Truecaller with your own personal information because then it'll upload the contacts here. The other thing that you can do is you could take this, just copy it, and you could put it into this caller ID test, which I did here. If it pulls up anything of interest, you will see a name come back, but all we're seeing here is that, hey, it's Verizon out of Albuquerque, and that's it. So remember when we saw that Cricket earlier? That Cricket phone service was actually incorrect. So it looks like this was a better option here. Now you only get 5 searches. 5 searches a day with this. So you have to come in here and just clear your cache, or you see I'm in an incognito window. So it really just depends. If this had a name to it, it would bring up the name here. So there'd be a name instead of this. They actually just changed their design within the last few days on this page. Again, this is how OSINT is, or how all these technologies are. You can be on a website literally a couple of days ago and the design has completely changed. So with that being said, that's just another way to just quickly check. This is kind of the order that I would go in. Now, there's a few things that I want to point out. Say you have a potential number for a contact and you have a potential email. Again, I cannot stress enough the potential of using the forgot password feature on websites. Like one that I'm going to pull up is Yahoo. Yahoo will produce a phone number for you. So this is just an image I pulled online because I didn't want to go search and try to find somebody's phone number. But you can come through here and you can put in a Yahoo email and say, hey, I forgot my password. I need to recover this account. And sometimes it will say, hey, here's an email address. And you say, yeah, I don't have this email address. Then it'll say, or potentially it'll say a phone number. It'll say, hey, can you verify this phone number? So here you have what? First two digits, last two digits of that number. If you had a number and you thought it tied to your person and you thought they maybe had an email address as well, you can come in here and do this. Now, got to be careful though, because the other side of this is, here's an example of something that I did do just to pull up as an example here. Now, I did search for somebody, just a very basic first name, last name with a number after it to see what would happen. Now, I said I forgot the password. It pulled up this username, which we can kind of guess what it might be here. And then it pulled up a full domain. Full domain. This was a private domain, by the way, custom custom business domain. And what happened though? Why is this dangerous? This sent a verification code. This alerted this person of this email that somebody's trying to log into their email address, or somebody has said, "Hey, I forgot the password here." So you got to be very careful when you do this. Make sure you have test accounts. You understand how the systems work when you're searching for different emails and different things, because this easily could alert and trigger the person that you're investigating, and then they're on your tracks. They know. Okay, so as somebody who has a public lifestyle and I have accounts online, I get password reset requests all the time. So like, depending on who you are and what you're dealing with, I see this kind of stuff all the time. So but if somebody's paranoid or thinking maybe they're under investigation, this could trigger something and completely change the landscape of investigation. So you got to be very, very, very careful. So there's one other website that I want to show you that's called InfoBell, and I won't hover on this too quick. I just want to kind of really quickly show you. I'm not going to search anything. If you come here, this has the ability to perhaps search countries in all different locations. So it starts out in French, but you can change your language up here to quite several languages up here. So let's say English. And then you could select the country where you want to try to search, and it'll take you to a page where you can search a phone number for that country. I've already exhausted kind of the US side of things, but if you were looking for something, say United Kingdom, let's see what happens here. It takes you to the United Kingdom. So this is like, for those of you looking to search other areas and locations, this is a great, great website. But for the US base, you can utilize pretty much anything that I've already shown you as an example. And so that's it for this video. I just wanted to give a brief overview of how we look up phone numbers, and again, spin the wheels on thinking outside the box. There's a bunch of tools and services, but even with the Google search, maybe we have to change our syntax up a little bit. Maybe we use emojis or something in there to throw it into the loop. Maybe we spell words out. There's all different unique ways to kind of hunt down, nitty gritty on some of these phone numbers. But thinking outside the box with like a password reset, or searching for a phone number in different locations, where there's applications that might use a phone number, and see if there's a username tied to those, or anything along those lines. There's a lot of different things that you can do, and OSINT is kind of like overlapping in a lot of these tool sets. So I know we've shown the password reset feature before. I wanted to show it again. There's all different kinds of things that you can do, but I want your wheels to always be spinning and thinking outside the box when it comes to investigating. So that is it for this video. I'll catch you over in the next one. Now let's talk about discovering birth dates. This is going to be a very short video, but I kind of want you to have an idea. Now, we've come across birth dates already with the people search engines. There's a good chance that you're going to find birth dates there. But there's also a possibility to find birth dates in other locations. And the one I'm going to show you today is Google, or a search engine. So let's take me, for example. My birthday is public, so I don't mind sharing this information. But if you come out here and you just say something like, I don't know, Heath Adams' birthday, what might you find? A whole lot of nothing, just not nonsense, right? There's nothing here related to my birthday. What happens if you were to say something like, in quotations, Heath Adams' birthday? Does anything change here? Me wishing somebody a happy birthday on Twitter. And here's me saying happy birthday to you. So maybe I am wishing a birthday. I said, "Hey, it's my birthday." So maybe here I found my birthday, right? So you come through here, we look at this, and somebody said it was my birthday too. Let's click into this. So yes, I said it's my birthday. I'm 31. This was on June 29th. So this will tell you exactly my birthday, exactly my age. Let's say we didn't find it so fast. A next thing that we could do would be something like in text birthday, right? These are just things that we already know, but we want to see the word birthday somewhere in text. And maybe we want to see something like happy birthday in text like this. So somebody might be saying it to me, and it's not just me saying it, but here's one of me saying it, but it could be somebody saying it to me as well. Like right here, or I was saying that to somebody else, but it's possible to see that what we like. Oh, here somebody said at the Cyber Mentor, happy birthday. Um, and if you wanted to look by username, you could do that as well. So you could say the Cyber Mentor, change that up, and then we can look and see if there's birthday here. The other thing that you might want to put in here is you might want to say something like site and just do twitter.com. And so I would say something like having a name, having an in-text of some sort of birthday or birth dates or something like that could work. But usually these like congratulation type things on social media is a really quick way to find these. Same thing with Facebook would be another way to do this. You could just go facebook.com and do a search there and see what works out. But if you're looking for a birthday, this is a quick and easy way to do this. Is just to think about your search engine, your quick searching, and how you might do this. But yeah, even LinkedIn is another one that you could use. Any of the social media sites that have a birthday out there or public birthdays, Facebook and LinkedIn are really big. But Twitter is another one. Just one of those where you can kind of catch it out there outside of the basic sites again. So if you're searching somebody's, like if you're just searching somebody on a people search engine, you are, I don't want to say likely, but there's a good chance that you'll find a birthday if you can find the person on one of those sites as well. So this is just another alternative in case you aren't finding birthdays. And that's really it for this lesson. So I'll catch you over in the next video. Another useful item that we can hunt for are resumes when we're looking for people, especially. Resumes can tell us a lot of information and can give us even more clues about a person or even a company, for example. Now, there are websites like LinkedIn that we can look at about people and understand more about their background, where they worked, and that would be pretty good for a resume. The other side of that, though, is sometimes resumes disclose personal information like a phone number, an email address, personal address, etc. So, we're going to go ahead and look at Google for resumes. And we're just going to pick on me again. You can search yourself and just see if you can find any information out there. I don't want to search for any random name and try to find resumes or just loosely search because I don't want to show somebody's personal information or potentially show that. So, what we're going to do is just type my name in. I'm just going to say Heath Adams resume. We're going to see what happens here. And you could see that a couple of things show up. So, this on Twitter, where I publicly share my resume, yeah, that's a thing that I did. And the other thing, though, is that there are images. Now, you can click on the images and actually see the resume as well. I'm going to go on to Twitter and just show you it. But the images are a really good place because there's a couple different ways that we might be able to see a resume. We might see it in like a document form. So we might be able to say like Heath Adams resume and then file type PDF. And see if we can find it. Now, that might not be the best search. We might have to do something like Heath Adams resume and see if that comes down. Um, and here's a resume. Somebody used my resume here, and it says created by Heath Adams, the Cyber Mentor. So they put a resume up here. I'm not going to click on this because it could reveal personal information. But here's an example of a resume, right? That showed up. Now we could say file type doc. We could try docx as well here, just to see if we can find it. Now we can also remove the file type and we could say something like site. Site Google would be good. Site Google, because Google will include or should include any of the subdomains. So drive.google, like you saw it recommend drive.google, docs.google, any of those might have this. A website like dropbox.com, for example, might have this. A website, for example, like scribd.com might have this as well. I'm not going to keep searching because it'll yell at me eventually and make me verify myself and stuff. But what we're going to do here is we're just kind of hunting down this information and trying to find it and see what we can do. The other thing that we can just do is just like look up Heath Adams and then look up site linkedin.com and see if you can find me. And here I am. And my information's a little obfuscated here, and it's going to try to make me sign in. We can actually try to look at nope, it won't let us look at the cache version of this, but I'm not going to click on it. But basically, you can come in here and look and see. There's some misinformation on my LinkedIn, although I don't think most people are going to do that. I definitely have like a different location. I don't tell what schools I went to. I don't tell any of that stuff. So like there could be some misinformation there, but you can come in here and look at like the resume that I posted and see some certain things. Like you could see that I have a degree, right? I have a master's, I have a bachelor's in accounting. You see what certifications I have. You see the different companies that I worked for. Now this is intentionally obfuscated, but if this wasn't, there could be information here. There could be an address, phone number, email. So I want you to just begin thinking about what are the things that could be disclosed on a resume. How can we utilize that? We can maybe find a current job. Like here you see present job. You maybe find a current job, current address, current phone number, current email address. A lot of stuff can be found. So just think about your searching. Search for Google, search for docs.google, drive.google, scribd works really well. Just do image searching. You're not always going to hit the jackpot on just searching somebody's name and finding the resume, but this is just something that you should add to your checklist of, hey, did I do this? And at the end of the course, I will share these flow charts. They're out there by Intel Techniques. They're pretty much what everybody uses. I think they're fantastic, and you can just kind of take the information that you see and just kind of have like a checklist, and it's really, really good stuff. So I'll share that as like a resources towards the end of the course. But that's it. Just short video, kind of get your wheels spinning about other things to think about, what could be out there that could relate to other people. And hopefully this was useful. So we're going to move on now and cover the next section. Welcome to this section on social media OSINT. The first platform that I want to start out with is Twitter. Now, Twitter can provide an abundance of information. We're going to look at how to search Twitter. We're going to look at the different tools that you can use for Twitter, and then we'll show you one cool tool that I really like that I think deserves kind of its own video. So let's go ahead and just go to Twitter. Now, for this section, you can use your personal Twitter account if you want, or some sort of Twitter account that you have. It will be better if you have some sort of Twitter account if you want to follow along to just kind of navigate this. Okay, so here is my homepage. I'm logged into my Twitter account at the moment. Now we can come in here and we could take a look and see what we could do with searching Twitter. So say that I want to search Twitter, and the first thing I'm going to show you is just clicking on it. We could search for people, topics, or keywords. Now, what's going on in the world? Well, let's see, we've got different things going on over here. This is all political. Let's see if we could find a keyword that's not really political. NBA draft. Okay, so let's search NBA. I like that. So we could search by just a keyword and say NBA and search that. And we can see everything that's going on right now in the top, right? Top means the top posts, the ones that are kind of trending in the NBA. We could see anytime that somebody just recently said the word NBA come through here as well. We can look at people related to NBA, so that'll bring up actual NBA and maybe any of the reporters, something along that. Photos, videos, etc. So it's a very broad search, but just proving that we can do a search. Now we can also do a keyword search. Now we could say we saw NBA draft was trending, so we just say NBA draft, do this. And you can see the top tweets. So it looks like this one was from November 12th. But if we look at the latest tweets, we can see now that November 17th, which is today, we could look at these tweets. Okay, so this one's from now. This one's from now. Anybody that's used this tag, you could see come through with the tag here. So we can kind of narrow our search down if we're using these hashtags. We can also do something similar to Google, where we say like NBA draft. Maybe we'll say something like NBA draft pick. Um, and now we're looking for specific words that say NBA draft pick all in a row. So we're looking for a specific string that we want to search. You can see within the last hour, this has been used at least once. We can look at the top posts that have come through here, and November 12th again was one of the top posts, and we just kind of look through. So depending on how we want to search, we could search by different phrases. So if we know a phrase or something that we're trying to investigate, we can search via that way as well. But what makes probably the most useful when we're on Twitter is the from, to, and mentions. So if we're looking at somebody, we might say from the Cyber Mentor. Let's just search me. So we're going to search all the things from me. Okay, if you want to go the latest, you can look at the latest. These are all my posts. If you want to look at my top posts, you can see some of my top posts in the last month or so. And you can perhaps see photos. So here's photos that I'm posting. You can go onto my profile, of course, if you wanted to just look at my profile. If you go to a user's profile, you can look at their different tweets, who they're replying to. So this is not just me tweeting, this is me replying to people. What posts I'm actually hitting the like button on. And then you can see what media I'm posting as well. So you can go through my media and kind of just look through my photos, basically anything that has a photo or video or something along those lines. You can see that data here as well. So depending on the number of tweets that I have, here you see I only have 742. So if you wanted to go through and find out information about me, you could. Like, look, this is an example. It says, I copped these today. I bought a couple hats recently. What does this tell you? Well, this tells you that I like a certain team. If you figured out what this logo was, this is a Dallas Mavericks logo. I love the Dallas Mavericks. I love basketball. So you could tell about me that I like the Dallas Mavericks. So maybe I have ties to Dallas, maybe something along those lines. Something about me likes Dallas. So that's something that you can add to your profile. You could tell that I have a dog who doesn't know how to use a pillow, but I have a dog and it's a small dog, Chihuahua. So I like animals. We keep coming through here. We can just see different things. Here's a picture of inside of a car. So maybe if you were able to look at this, you can determine what type of car this is. If you brought this to a specialist, maybe they could tell you what type of car this is based on the leather or pleather or the threading or the design here. There's a lot of opportunities. So the more that you look through these, you could tell, like, here's a picture of going back to school. Here's the different coursework I'm going to take. So this talks about the college that I'm going through. So pictures say a ton of information if you go through the media of somebody and what they're doing. So there's a lot that you can find out on social media and Twitter. This is not just tied to Twitter, but Twitter is very easy in that media is public. Unless this profile is private, all this information is going to be public here. So that's really nice. The other side of this, though, is okay, we've got from, but what about to? So let's look at to. So anybody talking to me. So there's people sending pictures to me because I'm still on the photos tab. So you can see what people are saying recently to me with photos. You could also go top and you could see who's talking to me. Oh, look, Nomsec's talking to me. You can see different types of people here that are mentioning me, the latest people that are mentioning me. We can also look at people, and it's just me, right? So, okay, and then last one that you can do here that's of interest would be the @ symbol. Anybody that tags me. So if you go top, that's an ad. You can come through here. You could just see anybody that's tagging me, like John Hammond here just tagged me not that long ago. Another tag here. And then anybody that's also responding to me, you can also look at the latest. Same thing. So if you're investigating somebody, you need to look at the from, to, and mentions to really pull down some good information. Now, we can get even further down in this narrowing. So let's go back to my profile really quick. Look, I've got 6,445 tweets. If you were to scroll through this, it would take forever to get through all these tweets. And honestly, like, I don't know if it will even take you that far. I forget what the limit is, but I do believe that there's a limit. So as you're going through all of these tweets, you just have to scroll and scroll and scroll. That's not the way to do this. So something that you can do is you could say from, and you could say the Cyber Mentor. So any tweet that I posted, And now we know by looking at my account that I joined in February. So maybe I want to see some of my earlier tweets. Okay, so let's think about this. I joined in February of 2019. So I want to say since, and I'm going to say 2019, and then '02, and then maybe '01. I don't know exactly when in February I joined. And then I want to see everything I posted in February. So let's go back and say, we'll say until 2019, we'll just say '03, '01. So I want to see the first month that I was active on Twitter. What were the first tweets that I put out there? I'm going to search that. And here you go. Let's see. I don't even know what my first tweet is. So we could scroll down and see if I have a very first tweet. It looks like they're scattered. I would have to look at it in the latest, but these are all the tweets I was making. February 8th was one of the first tweets that I was making here. So it's very interesting to see this. If you had a specific timeline, you can come through here and look and say, you could say the same thing. Did I post any photos? I did. Look, I went and did bone marrow donation. Okay. I went and at least volunteered to be a donator. So this is something, more details that you can find about me that you would have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the first creation of an account. So what this is saying is if you have the ability to identify a tweet range or when somebody maybe was active on Twitter or some specific area that you want to find out, you could do this. You could also do this. Don't think it just related to a from or a to, but you could do it too. You could say, "Hey, who mentioned me during this time?" Let's see. I'm trying to show you the possibilities. Okay, well, during this time, I was messaging with Davy Rogers. My wife said, "You are hot." Thank you. So there's different things that you could see people talking to me through here. So people I was interacting with. But again, you can come through here and you could see if anybody said NBA draft pick during that 1 month. All right. And sure enough, in February 13th of 2019, the top post was related to this NBA draft pick about Patrick Ewing. So it's very interesting that we can very specifically narrow down tweets. So even though that I have 6,000 something tweets, you can really fine tune it if you want to find a specific area or time frame. Now, you can also do something like, did the Cyber Mentor ever say NBA? I have. Here you go. So you could see that I was watching the NBA Finals. You could see how I mentioned the NBA here. Those are the top posts. And you could see like different things about me. So, and then here's a photo, right? So it really depends on how you want to search this, but keep thinking about all the operators that you can bring into this. Now, the last thing I want to show you would be geocodes. So geocodes will identify a specific location. So I'm going to bring up one here. I'm just going to do this as an example, but if you go out to Google, and I'll use this again later, so just leave this open. But if you go out to Google and you search, I search Los Angeles, California. You can search literally wherever you want. But I searched Los Angeles, California, and what I grabbed from up here is these geo coordinates right here. So you see the geo coordinates up top? Let's just copy these. So say that we want to look at a specific area. This is more useful, I'd say, back in the day. Not that it's not useful now, but it's more useful when there was geolocation everywhere, all over the place. You kind of have to have geolocation turned on, which some people do, but it's less than it used to be. But either way, we could still say geocode. So we want to look at geocode. We want to search that specific location. We can. Actually, we have to add in the kilometer. So say we wanted to do, let's do 10-kilometer range. Any tweets going on in the last 10 kilometers of this Los Angeles. So let's do latest and just take a look at this. And here we'll get a lot. So 27 seconds. Here's one right here. I'm just going to click on this and see. It doesn't specifically say that they're coming from Los Angeles, but let's click on the profile and see if it says that they are out of Los Angeles. It does not. Oh, Malibu. So they're in California. So yeah, we're identifying tweets coming from a specific location or area. So if you're trying to locate somebody in a specific area or you have their address or something along those lines, you can really narrow this down. You can bring this down to 1 kilometer and see within a specific area here. You can see this is just tweets from LA, and these aren't even that latest. Like this is November 14th, so this is 3 days ago. So you can see the different advisories depending on where you actually land. So if you know a specific house or a specific address and you want to look like within 1 kilometer, you can get very specific in your geocodes. And then again, you can combine these. Like this isn't going to come out with anything, but let's say within 1,000 kilometers did I ever tweet from Los Angeles within 1,000 kilometers? No, I didn't. Did anybody ever tweet to me from Los Angeles within 1,000 kilometers? Yes, somebody did. Okay. So this is how you can you can find perhaps places where people live. Like this, I don't know where this person lives. Los Angeles, California. Look at that. All right. So, and you can see this person follows me. They have their information public as to where they're located. There you go. So you can get very, very interesting information based on these sorts of things. And then you can start connecting people as well. So, say you're investigating me and you think that I live in Los Angeles. Well, maybe you do a search like this to identify who's communicating from me from within Los Angeles to see maybe if I know those people. It's more likely, I wouldn't say more likely, but there's a good chance that I might know those people more so than somebody from another country. Not that I don't know that person, but there's a better chance that I interact with those people on a day-to-day basis. But we'll talk about those sorts of tools and how we can track interactions and everything else in the next video as we start going over tools. But these were some of the basic search operators that hopefully you will find useful and we can move forward with when we're doing our OSINT on Twitter. So that's it for this video. I will catch you in the next video as we look at the different web tools that we can utilize to give us an advantage at looking up analytics and data on Twitter users. So I'll catch you over in the next video. Just kidding, I'm back. I completely forgot that I wanted to show you one more thing before I sign off and we go to the next video. There is this advanced search feature. So everything that I was just showing you now, and this is similar to Google's advanced search feature from way earlier in this course, you can come through here and you can just type in the words. So if you want all these words, exact phrase, kind of the stuff that we went over, you also have the ability to do or and, or none of these words. So think about that. Think about the language, what accounts, to these accounts, mentioning, same thing we talked about here. The different engagement here. So if you want to see a specific engagement, this is something of interest, and then of dates as well. So this is something that you can come through and just kind of do an advanced search on and utilize this to generate a specific search if you want to. So now that's it. I will add this as well into the description and the resources, but this is what I wanted to show you before we go on to the next video. So for real this time, I will catch you over in the next video. Moving on, let's talk about Twitter in a different way. Now, in the last video, we focused on looking at Twitter and searching from Twitter. Now, in this video, we're going to look at the different tools that are available to us from the web that we can utilize and log into and use in our OSINT. So let's go ahead and go out to the web. Now, if you look at the references below, you'll see that I have a bunch of websites laid out for you. These are all different websites that provide similar purposes. Now, they're going to be analytics based or looking into user type deal, something along the lines of just doing a little bit more research on somebody on Twitter or an individual or a company or whatever on Twitter. Now, again, I'm going to point this out. Things change. Even in the recording of these videos, there were websites that I had planned. Those have gone down. So just keep in mind that if you try this video at a date later than this recording, or you try a website at a date later than the recording of this video, it might be different. So just understand the reasoning of these tools. If one goes down, do a quick Google search and say, hey, what's a replacement for this tool? I'm sure you'll find it. So what I have done here is I'm just going to come out to these different websites and I kind of want to show you what some of them offer. So the first one is socialbearing.com. What I'm going to do with all these websites is I'm going to log in. You're welcome to log in via your Twitter account or your SOC Twitter account, however you want to do this. I'm just going to log in with my own Twitter account. I really don't care at this point. So just because this is for a demonstration, I'm going to log in with my actual Twitter account. I'm going to come in here and now we have access. So who do we want to search? Do we want to search for a specific keyword, hashtag website? Do we want to search geolocation, handle, people, etc.? So maybe we're going to search for a handle. And I'm going to come in here and just say the Cyber Mentor and see what happens. I'll just copy this because we'll be using it quite a bit, I'm sure. So let's go ahead and search the Cyber Mentor and see what happens here. It might take a second to load the data, but there could be some useful data here that we can find. You see it's starting to pull down interesting stuff. So I was trying to analyze my tweets. You can see by sentiment, it says here if I'm like if it's great or if it's terrible. Like, am I happy? Am I sad? What's going on? Do I reply? Do I tweet a lot? So I reply way more than I tweet. It shows you how many people I reach. This is the estimated followers that I have, how many impressions I have, etc. So this shows you a bunch of different analytics based on just what they're seeing here. And this can tell you some information. So what do I share? I share Twitter quite a bit, YouTube, Twitch. I share my Academy website, um, Porsche design. There were some shoes I was looking at recently, so let's pick that up. What languages do I tweet? English primarily. So this can tell you what are some of the hashtags that I tweet. So this is recent. These aren't all the hashtags. These are recent. We can sit up here and just load more tweets, collect more data if we want. You can see the last 200 tweets were over 19 days. Now 400 was over 29 days. We pick up more data here. So you could see that it just picks up like active directories in here. I am for ILF, which is for a Innocent Lives Foundation. So there's different tags in here that we can follow and track down and see about a user. We have all kinds of stats on the side over here, which could be interesting. What kind of words that I like to use very often. And then you can come through here and see what my recent tweets are. And then how it rates them. Like red for exclusion is rating it as bad or terrible here. So you can come through and see where handsome is rated as good. So it's interesting how it does this. But you can come through and just see a nice little map of my tweets that are in here, which is, of course, very interesting. So there's that. And then you can scroll down the data on the side over here and you can see the different things. But there is some things, there are some things that we can look at as well, like the contributors. You could see the people that I interacted with recently. This could give you an indication as to who I talk to, who I might be friends with, and who I associate with. So if you're hunting down somebody, you might want to look into who they are associating with, and maybe even go through more tweets than the last 30 days and see who we've been associating with. Scroll through the tags. You can also look through. Let's see if it has been on here. Yes, the Twitter sources. This could tell you some information as well. What does Twitter source here tell you? It tells you a couple things. Well, I post from the Twitter web app quite a bit, but I also use Android. So Android has half my tweets. So I'm tweeting from my phone half the time, a little under half the time. And then Streamlabs Twitter. I do a lot of streaming. I use Streamlabs to post a one tweet every time I stream. So in the last 30 days, I've streamed 11 times. This is what this is telling you. That tells you that I have a Streamlabs account. And then Zapier. I have a Zapier account that ties into when somebody, like, say, another content creator produces some sort of content, releases it. I have Zapier go out, identify that, and then post a tweet for me saying, hey, this person has released a new some new content. So this is kind of what it looks like. This is just one form of analytics. There's a lot of analytics that you can gather from here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go through these and just kind of sign in. I'll show you the differences between them. Some of these here are really not that significantly different. Like, I don't think these two are significantly different here, but we've got Twitotomy as well. You can do the same thing. You can look at your own timeline. You can do analytics. You can analyze your own profile. So if you click on this here, or analyze other people's profile, same thing. It'll tell you the amount of tweets between a certain time frame. It'll show you the tweets. It'll show you the latest followers, the tweet history, just different ways to look at tweets. So you can see the people that I interact with. Again, here's the person I've retweeted the most would be Joe. The user I mentioned the most outside of my own company would be Joe. So you might have an indication that I might be decent friends with Joe, or there might be some connection to Joe and I. Here's the different hashtags that I've used, etc. So you can come through here and look at the data again. Down here, you can see the hours of the day that I'm active. So it's interesting because you see that I'm. You could perhaps find, some data here that would say or suggest that I'm active during certain times of the day and I'm sleeping during times of the day. Like, you would assume based on these right here that I am sleeping during 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and 11 a.m. That's not true. Even though I'm active during the night, I just have a really weird sleep schedule where I'm up all different kinds of hours. Now, I'm usually up at 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. and I might wake up here and read my tweets or respond to some. But during 9 to 11, I'm typically sleeping. At 12 o'clock, I'm up and I'm streaming. So this indicates. And then as I as I wake up and progress through the day, you can see my tweets increase. But so this is one way to look at it. There's actually something else over here that I won't go into, but I'll drag it over. It's this website called Sleeping Time. You could sign in with Twitter and also search people, but this I think is a great indicator as well for times of the day. That's all it's doing is analyzing and saying, hey, what time does this person sleep? It's just interesting data that you can correlate and suggest maybe that where they live. It's a possibility that you can identify if this person's sleeping from 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Maybe they're on the East Coast, or if it's 12 p.m. to 6 a.m., etc. So, and this, I just realized this is UTC, by the way. So this could have me pinned down to where this is actually a little bit different here. Anyway, so with that being said, sleeping time's another one of these. Mention maps, a great tool as well. You could sign in with Twitter, which I'll do really quick. Authorize this app. And what it's going to do is just start pulling down data on the latest mentions that you have as a user. You could search other users, you could search mentions, hashtags up here in the corner. I'm not going to dive too deep into this, but you can see it's starting to pull down data of who I talk to, and then who the people I talk to, and what tags I use, etc. And this does cost money if you want to go deeper into this. But you can see that, like, again, Joe shows up. So what is that showing you? That's showing you that there's probably some strong correlation between Joe and I. And then when you look at Joe, if you want to look at Joe, you can see who Joe talks to, and what people he associates with, and maybe there's connections here as well. So just another tool to analyze the analytics or the data of all this. The next tool I want to show you is TweetBeaver. So TweetBeaver is a neat little tool. Let's just sign in here real quick. And I realize I'm going fast through these. A lot of these are just repetitive, so I don't expect you to be following along and signing into all these. More or less just take notes and play around with these once this video's over as you kind of go through all this information. So the one benefit, okay, there's some benefits here as a actual Twitter user. The one big benefit, I think, is that you can convert a name to an ID. So if you want to come in here, you can say, hey, the Cyber Mentor, let's convert that name to an ID. Now I have a Twitter ID. This is good because say that I were to change my Twitter name, this Twitter name would change, and then I would be lost to where if we're tracking somebody that changed their Twitter name, we could possibly lose them. So then what we could do is actually use the number. We can go back and use the number to find the ID instead. So we can convert Twitter ID to a number or to a name, and then we can see that's Cyber Mentor. So if I ever changed my handle on Twitter, or if the person we're investigating ever changed their handle on Twitter, then we can find them with their Twitter ID. So this is useful to just have. So say you track somebody down, it's always good if you go to Twitter, grab their ID, and store that somewhere in case it ever changes. You could also do everything that's in here. So you could check if two accounts follow each other. Some of the interesting things down here is you can find common followers, you can find common friends, you could find conversations between two users. You can also download your data and data of followers, data of everything. So up to a certain amount, like this one goes up to 3,200 tweets. So what you could do is like say the Cyber Mentor, and then I've got one here. I was doing a demo with Namsec. So Ben and I communicate quite a bit. So if I was looking on Twitter and I saw that Ben and I were communicating, Ben and I might want to see what the conversation between Ben and I is like. So I'm going to come in here. This might take, it says allow up to a minute for a search to complete. But what's going to happen is it's going to show all the history within the last 3,200 tweets that we have between us. So it's analyzing all that data for us. And now it'll come back and it'll say, hey, do you want to download this or do you want to display it on screen? I'm just going to say display it on the screen. And then you can see this goes back to July 8th of 2009 all the way through, and then comes down to recently. So within November. So this can tell you some interaction. This is a great way to just search how people are interacting. So going back to the Joe example, if you saw that Joe and I were interacting and you wanted to see what the deal was between Joe and I, you could just go here, say the Cyber Mentor, say Joe's handle, and then submit and see what's going on between us and how we're conversing. And maybe if we know each other, there's some details that leak out, etc. So all you're looking for in all of this are just details. Any sort of data that can provide any sort of trend or information related to you. So another one of these would be Spoonbill. Spoonbill is a great website. You don't have to log in. You can connect with a Twitter account, but if you go to spoonbill.io And then I'll actually paste this for myself in the references, but if you go to Twitter data and then the username here, you could pull down the information. Now, what this does is it tells you every time that I have ever changed my data here. So, you know how you go to Twitter, you see somebody's profile page. Anytime my profile page has changed, this will tell you if it's changed. So, you can actually scroll all the way down to when I first created my Twitter account. You can see that I added a website right away, and then I added a bio. And then over time, I've done some changes. You can see where the changes have happened. You can see the changes to my pinned tweets as well as things change here. And then I have changed my name on Twitter a few times as well. So there's useful information here where you could be tracking somebody, and perhaps the indicator here is perhaps somebody had their actual name. So you see how I have my name in here. Perhaps they had their actual name at one time, and then they said, no, that's not a good idea. Let's change it to a handle. Let's change it to something else. So you don't know what kind of information might be disclosed in Twitter or the history of Twitter. So Spoonbill is just another great website to come out to. And then Tinfo Leak is another one. I'm not going to log into this, but basically you can come in here. Let me just hit OK. You can come in here and you can search for leaks. You just basically type in a username, an email address, tell them you're not a robot, and they'll send you leak information or potential leak information. I'm going to show you my report here. So they'll send you a link. This is what it looks like. This will just tell you, hey, when was this account created? Is the user verified? What's their ID? Here's another way to get the ID. Where's their location? And go through these sorts of different things. Again, you can tell the different applications that I'm using here, like Twitter for Android or Zapier or Streamlabs, and you could tell where I'm tweeting from. When was the first use of these? When was the last use of these? Although the first use of Twitter for Android was not 1027, so this is only going back so far in the history. Now, this will tell you some interesting analytics. What are the hashtags that I've used recently? What are the user mentions that I have? Who am I mentioning? Who am I talking to? Etc. So this is another way to look at communications. I'm going to kind of just scroll through this. And then another way here, user mention detail, the counts, the likes that the post got, etc. So another way to look through this. And just different types of data that comes through here. So I think it's very, very interesting to see this kind of data. And there's always, again, with all different tools, it's good to look at the variety, because you might see something on one tool that you don't see on the other. So that's really it. I just kind of wanted to cover the analytics here. There's one more tool that I want to show you that I think deserves its own video. So we're going to cover that in the next video, and then we'll move on to a different social media platform. But I do really want to talk about a tool called TweetDeck, so we're going to go ahead and chat about that in the next video. The last tool I want to show you is TweetDeck, and I think it deserves a video of its own. So let's take a look at TweetDeck and see how powerful that it really is. Now, let's go ahead and look here. Now, you can go to tweetdeck.com. That'll redirect you to tweetdeck.twitter.com. You will need to be logged in, so please do log in if you want to follow along with this. I've gone ahead and cleared out my deck here so you can see what it looks like with a blank screen. What is nice about TweetDeck? Well, let's take a look at it. You can see everything in basically a one-page view with columns. So if we go here and say add a column, and say I want to add my home page. I just want to see anything that is happening here. So I'm going to hit add, and I'm going to see what happens. And we'll see here now that I've got any tweets that have come on my homepage from anybody that I'm following right here. So this is what's going on right now. I can also come in here and add notifications. So now I can track my notifications and my homepage in one screen. So if a notification comes through, I'll see that. If something on my homepage comes through, I'll see that. I don't have to click around, don't have to look at notifications. If I want to add my messages, which I won't disclose my messages, but if I want to do that, I can do that. Mentions, followers. So if I get any new followers, I can come in here and just say, hey, who are my new followers? But where it becomes interesting is you could see other things as well. Like, let's take a look at trending. We could take a look at trending here and say, okay, the Bachelorette's trending right now. Let's just click on the Bachelorette. That'll add its own tab. So anytime that anybody mentions the hashtag of the Bachelorette, now I've got that in my TweetDeck and it's coming through and I'm seeing it live in action. So you can use this. I'm going to delete these, by the way, because I don't want to follow the Bachelorette. But if I want to use this to track a specific user, I can come in here and say user. And now I know I picked on Joe in the last video. I'm going to pick on Joe one more time and just say at Joe Helly and come in here and hit enter. Here he is. And I'm going to add a column for him. So now, anytime Joe tweets, I'll know about it. I can see it happen right here in real time. So if I have a board just up and watching, I can see what happens. And you can see somebody here just tweeted to me. Somebody just mentioned me, or here's my notification where they're responding to me. Okay, so this just updated here within the last 45 seconds as well while we're recording this. And this will give you a pretty good timeline on when I'm actually recording this video. But the other interesting thing that we can do is, remember, we talked about search operators in the very first video. We can utilize search operators when we're having or using our tweet deck. So let's say, just as a broad example, we want to use Los Angeles. Let's go here. Let's say I want to look at, and you can see some of the ones I've used before, but let's say that I want to look at Los Angeles. I already brought this up just to make it easy. So if you go to Google Maps, you type in Los Angeles, get the location. Up here, I'm just going to copy this little part. And now I've got the coordinates. And I'm going to come back, and then we're just going to say geocode. Paste that in. I'm going to say anybody within 10 kilometers, this is going to be a lot, of Los Angeles. I want to see any tweets coming in that area. And you could see 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 34 seconds now. So what this means is, if you have a person that you know lives in a specific area, we have the ability to track them based on a geolocation. If they're sharing that geolocation, we can actually just sit here and watch the tweets come through. So if you know where their house is, you can set this to their house and then set this to like 1 kilometer as an example instead of 10 kilometers. And as soon as this starts updating, it takes a minute for these to come through, but as soon as it does, I mean, these tweets will start flying through, depending on how broad we make this search. So this is nice. We can come through here, and now I have screens. I can see who's talking on my timeline. See, there we go. It starts to fly through as tweets come through. I can see who's talking on my timeline. I can see who's talking to me. I can see what Joe's up to. If I'm investigating Joe, I'm watching Joe now. I can also see anything that's happening. Say Joe lives in Los Angeles. I can see what's happening in and around Los Angeles. This is just a small touch of what can be done. Okay, so there's a lot of options here. You can use your search queries. You can look at different lists. You can see the trending users. This is very nice, especially if you want to follow specific hashtags, specific lists of people. If you want to weed out some of the stuff that you don't want to see on Twitter, this is just talking from experience and not talking about like just investigation. But if you want to use this as a Twitter user, I think is one of a great tool as well, just to be able to have in your back pocket. So something to think about, but this is a fantastic tool beyond the OSINT space, but it has a lot of OSINT power, and that's why I kind of wanted to share it on its own. So that is it for this video, and that is it for the Twitter OSINT. We're going to move on into the next social media site. So I will see you over there. Let's talk about Facebook OSINT. Now, Facebook OSINT is difficult to keep up with. There used to be a lot of graph searching that just does not exist anymore. And now we're kind of in this cat and mouse game with Facebook as they update the capabilities to search the platform and to gather information off the platform. It's not a bad thing. It's bad for the investigator, but it's good for privacy. So it's kind of this cat and mouse game right now. And I'm going to show you the techniques and some of the things that I know. And some of it might be kind of obvious. Some of it's just kind of where the trends are. And I'll show you a couple tools that might help you with searching. And we can kind of go into the weeds a little bit. So let's go ahead and go out. Now for Facebook, I actually do not have an account. So we're just going to use a fake account that I have. And we're going to just kind of search through it. So this is my fake Facebook account. And I think when everybody does OSINT, everybody, if you go watch OSINT tutorials, everybody picks Mark Zuckerberg as like the thing to do. It's like the hello world of Facebook OSINT, apparently. So I'm just going to stick with the trends because I don't want to dive into real people. Not that he's not a real person, but I want to make sure that I don't dive into anybody too not famous, if that makes any sense. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try to find him. That's the first thing that we want to do up here. So we're just going to go to search and we're just going to say Mark Zuckerberg. All right. And we'll search for Mark Zuckerberg and see what happens. Now we're just getting all sorts of posts that come up, right? We're getting posts, we're getting articles, we're getting all kinds of information here about Mark Zuckerberg. And this could be good if we're doing an investigation and looking for somebody specific, but maybe we want to find his profile. So we'll go to people first. Now we can specify even more down here. We could say, hey, I want to look at the city. I want to look for somebody with specific education or work. So if you know something about somebody, like, hey, I know Mark Zuckerberg went to Harvard, but he has it here as well, you might want to put in education that, I'm looking for Mark Zuckerberg from Harvard. And we can update the search and see if he shows up. And sure enough, he's the only one that shows up. Okay, so there's one way of searching. You can come through here. We can also come through and say, hey, I want to look at photos of Mark Zuckerberg. And these are public photos. Obviously, this could be people that have posted this. It doesn't have to be coming from his account in particular. So we don't know where these are coming from, but it's always good to look at videos, marketplace, pages, groups, etc. Anything on the side here that you think you could click into. I think we're kind of at the point now where some of this is redundant, so I'm not going to keep hammering home the different things that we can click on, but just think about what you might want to click on here. Now, I'm going to open up Mark's page, and because we're going to talk through a little bit of this, I'm going to just kind of come over here and right click it and open it in a new tab. And we have Zuckerberg here. You could see facebook.com/Zuck. We'll talk about that in a second. The other thing that I want to point out is that you can search different things. So we have Mark Zuckerberg and we look at photos, right? But these are public photos. What you can do, a little trick, is you can come in here and you could say something like photos of Mark Zuckerberg. And then you're going to have not just the photos that you were seeing, but you're going to have photos that people tagged him in. Now, this is super interesting because if this person has a super restrictive profile, like say we clicked on their user here and we couldn't see anything. There's no pictures, which is very common with Facebook. Facebook is now super restrictive. A lot of times when you go to somebody's page, unless they've intentionally made it public, you don't get to see much. So Mark Zuckerberg obviously has a very public page. But for us, if we wanted to see somebody maybe that was out there that had a public page, we could take a look at this. And I was looking through this earlier. This is very interesting. You come through here and you say, okay, photo of Mark Zuckerberg. Look, this only has 2 likes. This only has 4 shares. And this was from 2006. Okay, this is like early era Facebook. This is like Facebook when it still had .edu addresses Facebook. So this account, by the way, has been on Facebook for a long time as well. If you open it up, you can see, hey, his name is Aaron. So you can imagine that he's been on there for quite some time. Now, if we're thinking about this, somehow, some way, at some point, Aaron and Mark interacted. Now, this is 14 years ago, but they still interacted. And that's the benefit of, if we were just looking at photos with Mark Zuckerberg, we might not see that, where if we looked at photos of Mark Zuckerberg, we might see all the different places he was tagged. Look, here's another one. I don't know exactly what their connection is, but clearly they were together at some point. This was in 2005. So you can see that this was even earlier. So they go way back, right? And then you can see here, this looks like more of I say more recent photo. So here is a more recent photo from 2019. Another person that has met him, tagged him in a picture. Now he's very famous, so he might get tagged quite a bit on a site like this. But even to see, look at these photos from Harvard. This is 2005. He's posting these photos of himself, but some of these photos could be from somebody else. Like this is from 2012. So it's very interesting to see the different things here on these websites. So another thing that I want to point out is there are a couple of search engines that we can use to kind of sift through some of this stuff. Now, one of these is this Sawdust on GitHub, and I'll post a link to this below. And this intellex.io is a great resource, by the way, as like an overall kind of resource, but it's good that it has a Facebook search as well. And it has kind of like this built in. If you look at the alternate, it's based on the Sawdust code. So it is like a 2-in-1 tool. It just has all this already, but I'll provide them. So it says, hey, look, you need to be logged into Facebook. You can search for a particular post by keyword, by month, by interval, and then by UID. So there's not a whole lot that you can search for. You can see like it's so limited nowadays in what you can do. So there's only some tips and tricks that you might want to look through. But you can come down here and you can look at the posts and you can look at different things. Like say we want to look for posts. Now we want to look through posts by a specific user. It says entity. Well, we need an entity ID. We can still filter by date, filter by keyword, and this will do the search for us. We have to make sure that we have a keyword in here, and I'm going to show you how to get to the key or the entity ID here in a second. But I know that his entity ID is 4, and then we'll just come in here and type in a keyword. We'll just say something like Harvard. We know he went to Harvard, so I want to see posts about Harvard from Mark Zuckerberg himself. So let's open up in a new window, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it looks like we don't really get a whole lot here, and this isn't that great of from him. Like I don't see anything in here that actually ties to Mark. So these searches are kind of hit or miss. The thing is though, you don't want to leave this blank because actually this is why. Let's add a filter and then let's try to open this up. Let's see if I screwed up here. Okay, so here is our post about Harvard. And this is the thing that makes it interesting is like, see, you had to be very specific here with the post or else we were limited. So my mistake was actually a good example here. But here you can see where he's talking about Harvard. You can limit that to a specific date and time. Like here, these are all from 2017, 2015, but maybe you're looking for like 2013. You come in here and limit that date. If you don't put anything in here, it'll put a wildcard, and this does not usually return anything. Yeah, the wildcard search feature, for whatever reason, has stopped working. You can see that it's pulling down Mark Zuckerberg, but it's not pulling anything down. Now, there are features that you can go out there and use tools to pull down the ID of an account, which you see I have the ID of 4 here. There's actually a quick way to do it, too, that I kind of just want to show you. You could Google a tool and say, hey, I want to know the ID of this account. It takes a little bit. If you just right-click on a user's page, and you say to view the page source, you can come in here and all you have to do is a Control F. And then if you search user ID like this, you can see that it comes up right away. 4, right here. User ID 4. So it should be one of the first things that you see. Here's the user vanity, the Zuck, and I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see it real quick. But like you can see the user vanity is Zuck, but the user ID is 4. We can no longer search on user vanity. We can only search on the ID. So that's where this is becoming important if you want to use tools like this to use the ID number. Now, of course, yeah, this could change immediately after releasing this because Facebook does change so much. Actually, let me make this a little bigger. But say we do find a person's profile. I kind of gone bouncing around a little bit. Say we do find a profile. We want to look around, want to see what we can find out about a person. A lot of information here about Mark, who he's married to. You could see the different, he's a founder and CEO, where he works, where he went to school, where he lives, where he's from. You could see different pictures of him, life events. You can look through his friends and see if there's any correlation between his friends and who he knows. There's also any of the photos, videos. You can come to more and you can see where he's checked in. So has he checked in somewhere? Here's all the places he's checked in and been. You could see if he's checked in somewhere recently, where he's going, where he's gone. Does he like sports? Well, who are his favorite athletes? You can find out all kinds of information, and this could be just, you don't know where this could end up being useful. So, if you have the opportunity of finding a public Facebook profile like this, it's always good to jot down as much information as you can. And again, when you're looking at photos, remember pictures say 1,000 words. You can see all kinds of stuff from just looking into a photo. Like here, it could be a challenge to say, hey, where is he at? Obviously, he's at the European Parliament. He's telling you, but you could say, hey, where is he at in the world right now? And if you do any sort of like the CTS for like Trace Labs or one of those type deals, you might come across users' photos and pictures, and it might say, hey, what kind of phone do they have, or where are they at? Where was their last known location? Can you get a picture of a vehicle or anything along those lines? So if you can identify that, it really helps. One time I was doing a Trace Lab CTF and I saw somebody on their Facebook page had a selfie, and the selfie reflected behind them, the back window reflected back of their car, and you were able to actually make out the model of the car on the steering wheel based on the selfie. So it's very interesting on what you can determine from a picture, especially when somebody's just thinking, "Oh, I'm taking a selfie in a car." When really you're giving out a lot of information on what kind of car they're in, maybe what kind of day was out, outside, what kind of phone they have. There's a lot of information that can be found. So if you do find a public Facebook profile, look through it. Otherwise, the photos feature is a very good feature to search through if you go through the photos of, and you just kind of look through and try to see who knows who, how do they know them, try to tie it down. Sometimes, if you go to a friend's, they might not have any friends that are public or you can't see it. So if it's really locked down again, you might have to kind of just make this assumption. Again, with the trace labs, a lot of times when we're looking for like a missing person, we might find the missing person and it might be locked down, but we might be able to find photos of them or look through family members or find something where they're interacting or they're posting recent pictures of them. And then we know, hey, maybe this person isn't missing anymore or something along those lines. So there's a bunch of different scenarios that could happen, but these are just kinds of things that I've seen as I've been going through it. So again, there's not a ton as it's getting more restrictive for Facebook, but there's still options out there to look through. I feel like a lot of it's obvious, so I don't want to hammer down on all of these, but just do your due diligence when you're doing research on Facebook and make sure you can try to track down as much information as possible, and then use the little tricks I showed you by viewing the source, and then you can utilize that for some of these other tools that will help you search through it and maybe get through some of this a little bit easier. So that is it for this video, and that's it for the Facebook OSINT. We're going to move on into the next social media platform. See ya. All right, let's talk about Instagram OSINT. Now, Instagram is going to be going right back to the pictures say 1,000 words type spiel that you've heard me say over and over again. But on top of that, we have some tools available to us that we can look at. I don't want to say there's not a wealth of information. It's just another platform that we can look at, though it's kind of limited in the searching that we can do. So I'll kind of give you a look into the world of Instagram. So if we take a look at my Instagram posts or my Instagram page here, if you want to look at a particular user on Instagram, you could go to instagram.com and then /the user. Now you can come in here and look at their pictures. It is limited. Sometimes you can look at the pictures without being logged into Instagram, but it really does get limited into what you can click on, what you can see, etc. When you look at Instagram too, as well, if you come into some of these posts, if you see something in the corner like this, that means there's multiple pictures. So you could see the Boston pictures that I had taken, and I was saying, hey, you know, kind of look at these. Tell me if you could see where I was at. Here's that picture from earlier. Now, if you look, somebody can identify the Fairmont Hotel is right here. So people can identify just from being there, or knowing it. So but like you can look through pictures and see different things. Obviously, I've harped on that. We're not going to harp on that. I just kind of want to tell you what we can search for. Now, you could try to come up here and search for people and see, like, my name is TCM on here or the Cyber Mentor, so you're probably not going to find me, but you can try coming in here and searching an actual person's name. You can say, like, Heath Adams and see if you can find somebody named Heath Adams. And here are all the people named Heath Adams. You come in here and look for the person that you might be looking for. I wish there was a better way. Really, there's not in this sense. You can come in if you have a username. You could search by username. So say the Cyber Mentor. You could do that and look, it'll pull me up and then see I'm under TCM. So if you were going to search for me, you'd actually have to search for TCM. You could also come in here and look for tags. So if you say tag the Cyber Mentor, you could see that there have been 8 posts about me on Instagram. And then you can come through here and just click on these and see, who has posted about me, what are they saying, etc. You can come kind of look through that as well. What you can do, though, is if you are on a user's profile, let's just go to a user's profile. Let's see if we can click on one that is not private. Okay, this one's not private. So you can go and look at who these people are following and see who they're following and if they have any relationship. So if I'm looking at people, the first thing that I kind of tend to look at is like, what's the subject's name that I'm looking at? So say it's Adams, then I'm probably going to search through the people that they're following and see if I can find anybody with the last name Adams. Now, it's not as good of a search tool here when we're looking at it on the website. If you actually use the app on your phone, you have the ability to come through and search. So you can search like last name, first name, whoever, if you're looking for somebody in somebody's friends list. But this is just a nice tool to come through here and just say, hey, I'm looking. You can see if they're following any hashtags as well. You can see who's following them, what posts they've made, etc. So this is just kind of what you're looking for. You would want to see, okay, where is this person posted? Has this person been tagged in anything? And kind of look at it like that. So I'm going to go back. Now, say my profile was not public. Let's see if I can go back. If my profile was not public, then you would not be able to access any of this information. It would be completely private to me. So depending on who you get might depend on that. Now, if you can associate it or associate that profile or that name, if it's unique with perhaps another profile, sometimes we see people with multiple Instagrams or multiple Twitter accounts. If you could find another profile that has family members or something related to them or friends or whatever, you can then look at those friends' profiles, see if they're public, and then see if you can find pictures of that subject or that person on the profile and just kind of go through it. So as long as you have other ways to tie an individual to somebody else, that's kind of what you're looking for if you're finding yourself up against a private profile. But even here, you can come in here and see tags. Where was I tagged? Who tagged me? Blah, blah, blah. And just kind of see who I associate with as well. So you can really spin a web pretty quick if these profiles are public. Now, there's a couple other things that we can do. You can see that I have this picture here. You can come online. Actually, this isn't the one, but if you go to this Wopida, I think is how you say it, or Wopida, and you just come in here and you search the Cyber Mentor, you can see that it'll pull up some information here. There are some sites out there that if you look, and we'll go to Google here in a second, but if you look on Google, it'll tell you like if the page was ever public and it had some posts or pictures, you might be able to see them in cache form, or they might have them stored on their site. But you can also come through here and just see this kind of laid out, as opposed to what we were seeing, like pictures like this. You can actually just kind of see it laid out. This obviously has ads on this page, so it's hit or miss, but you can close out once the ads load. But this is a decent page to click through. The other thing is we've talked about the user ID. We talked about finding the user ID on Twitter. It's the same thing here with Instagram. If the user ID ever changes, you can come find the user ID, store that information, and then bring it back later in case they ever change their username. You can just come back and find out where this user is now with this user ID. Another thing that we can do is say that we find a profile and we want to grab that information. And then I know I'm kind of going a little bit quick here with the names up here. This Code of Ninja or Code of a Ninja was to find the Instagram user ID. This is, again, all in the resources down below. So if you want to click on those and follow along, please feel free. But the other side of this too is this instadp.com. If you do /profile /the username, you can come in here and say you want to see the image that's here. You can go full size, and then you can see a full size of this image. So now what can we do? We can save this image. We can use this to maybe reverse image search, try to hunt down this image somewhere else. And we've been through that drill already, right? So again, we have an image, and that's what we're tracking. Same thing with this website, imagein.com. If you do imagein / the account that you're looking at, you come here, you can look at the post. You can see the download next to the image up here. You can download this, or you can download any of these posts that you see here. So any of these posts. Why is that important? Because if you were on, say, Instagram here and you right click, sometimes it doesn't let you save the picture. If it tries to save this, it might save it as like a HTML or something that's not right. You can come in here and actually just download the actual image from the site. And that's nice. You get the full image, nothing like you don't have to crop, you don't have to try to screenshot, do anything. You just get the full image. So this is a nice way to come through and download artifacts in case you need them later to have a report or for your case or however it may be. And then lastly, please don't underestimate Google. So you might have a search where it's just like the Cyber Mentor, and then you might say site Instagram.com. All right, so anybody that search for or anywhere the Cyber Mentors come up, obviously my page, but if somebody mentioned me somewhere on here, or maybe if we just search for the Cyber Mentor without, or we put in quotations, or we just say like the Cyber Mentor like this, think about all the ways that you might be searching this. You might even just say the Cyber Mentor and no site. You might just say something like Instagram and see if it finds anything about me somewhere else. So you can see these different websites that show up here with Instagram photos. And you might be able to pull that down and as well and see if there's anything of there that maybe is not on my profile anymore that I have pulled down, or that maybe I had deleted, etc. So just things to get your wheel spinning and thinking about. Again, it's just more of the same as you go across these different profiles. The techniques change a little bit, but the concepts and the methodology really doesn't. So that's it for Instagram OSINT. We're going to move on to the next social media platform. This is going to be an incredibly short video because Snapchat doesn't have a ton of OSINT, in my opinion. In the sites that are out there, like there's a site called Snapdex. I don't think it's really that great. So I kind of want to show you one other feature because we've already covered how I would enumerate Snapchat. Basically, if you're looking for OSINT on Snapchat, you can use the username search feature. You can correlate usernames that way. You could try slow typing and seeing if something comes up, and you could find a user that way as well. Perhaps there's a name in the username and it ties to an individual. We've already covered those kind of thoughts in the username section. There's one other thing that could be useful, and just one thing I kind of want to point out, and it's that Snapchat has a map. You can access the Snapchat map by going to map.snapchat.com. Now, this is a feature if you've ever used the Snapchat app. This is actually a feature within the app as well. You can scroll into specific locations and you can kind of see the hotbeds where there's a lot of pictures being taken. And what this is when somebody takes a picture on Snapchat and then they go and they post that publicly, it shows up here. So you could really narrow down to specific locations. And it's always dangerous to click on these sometimes because you have no idea what you're going to see. But let's say that we're trying to look at Jacksonville, maybe this specific area. Here's looks like an airport. Let's just click on this and see what comes up. All right, and we can see some pictures here. And it really just depends on what you're going to see. So on the post, sometimes people reveal their personal information. Sometimes they reveal like a snap code where you can add them. This is just another feature of things that we could potentially look for in this app, just to try to narrow something down if we're looking for a specific location within an area. So if you're trying to find out information, say at this airport, or if you know somebody who's at the airport, maybe it doesn't hurt to look on Snapchat. But this is just kind of one of those. I don't want to call it advanced OSINT, but just something else that you should know about if you're looking at Snapchat for this feature and you have a location. Other than that, like I said, short video. We're going to go ahead and just move on to the next topic within social media. So I'll see you in the next video. Again, another short video because we've kind of already covered Reddit a little bit, but we're going to revisit Reddit and we're going to just show how we can find a treasure trove of information fairly easily on Reddit with either Reddit searching or Google searching. So let's go ahead and go out to the internet, and I'm going to go to reddit.com. And there are a few benefits here. So we can search here on Reddit. And remember, we can search for a specific username as well if we use any of our name check tools that we used. But you can always come into Reddit and say if you want into the taskbar, but you could go reddit.com/u/ say the cyber mentor if you wanted to check out and see if that user existed. That's one way to find me. Of course, name check would be another one. But say you're on Reddit and you want to search, you can come out and just say the cyber mentor. And you could see here, well, look, there is a there is a R the cyber mentor, which is funny because I didn't even know about this. So this is new. There's a user the cyber mentor, which is me. Somebody must have put this together, created May 13th, 2020. So somebody did this, but that's cool. Anyway, there is also like any post you could see it's highlighted where somebody has put the cyber mentor in here. You can find that, or if somebody potentially talks about me, like in these OSCP or these hacking channels, there's a good chance that somebody was mentioning me somewhere within these. You can see TCM is another one. If you tried searching for TCM, you're probably going to find like Turner Classic Movies and all kinds of other stuff. But you can come in here and you'll see you're looking at best results, relevance, sort by relevance posts from all time. You could sort by hot if there's any like trending posts with my name in it. You could sort by if there's any new posts with my name in it. So you can kind of go through this, and this is just best results. You can come through posts as well and just see how this works out. Another thing is that you can come in here and actually put this into quotes. So, and see if that produces anything better and more specific. Now we kind of get out of some of the same results, but we also, it looks like this is a little bit different. So, potentially depending on how you search and if you use quotations or not, you can change things up. Let's look at the new post again and see how that's changed. And the new post now is from 14 days ago, as last time it was from 4 days ago. So, depending on how we search, this is more specific. You could also search by my name, say Heath Adams, etc. See if that works out. The other thing that you could do is you can come to Google and you could just search like the cyber mentor and then just say site reddit.com. Now, Reddit by far is one of my favorite resources to use. I tell this to people when I'm giving them advice. It is one of the best ways to do research. The chances are, if you have a question and you want that question answered, chances are somebody's already asked that question on Reddit. So I will literally go to Reddit for almost any of my questions first before even saying, "Hey Google, how do you answer this?" I'll say, "Hey Google, cite Reddit, how do you answer this?" Because there's almost always something on there. So here you can see that there are 2,600 results of people mentioning me somewhere on Reddit. You can try narrowing this down. You can even type in like, again, you could say like Heath Adams. And then you can even narrow this down more. This is just getting back into Google Foo, but you could say maybe they want to reference the OSCP. So somewhere in text, OSCP. Now we narrow that down to 806, etc. So we can just see how this works and how this goes through. But please do not underestimate Reddit for a research potential. Now, the other thing too, before we go, is you saw me as a user. You have the ability to come in here and see, okay, these are my posts. You can see what posts I make, but you can also see what comments I've made. So you could see the comments here and what I was posting when I was last active. I have seen people give out their name. I've seen people give out their location. I've seen people put some crazy stuff in here. There was actually one time where I was investigating a case, and in that case, this person was posting some really nasty stuff on Reddit. Well, what they had done is they had just put in tiny bits of information like, "Hey, I am a graduate student at this school," and then they said, "Hey, I have this certification." And it didn't take long before there were only so many people at that school that had that certification that really could be narrowed down. And we were able to identify who the individual was. So you have to be very careful what you post because even the tiniest shreds of information, even though you have no name or anything posting here, it's really easy to just put out enough little bits of information that somebody can eventually identify you. So the comment history and post history is always important when you're looking through this. A user might not have a lot of posts, like you'll see in here that I've got a lot of posts, but they might have a lot of comments, or it might be the other way around where they're just posting a bunch but not really commenting. So it depends on the user, depends on the account. But again, this is something that you should not underestimate from a research perspective. I think Reddit is one of the most information wealthy platforms that's out there. So that's it for this video. We're going to move on to the next video in the section. Let's take a look at LinkedIn OSINT. So LinkedIn is the social media for business professionals, and it can reveal a wealth of information about people. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over. I'm going to show you a fake LinkedIn profile I have, but I'm going to try searching for myself and see what information that we can find about me. This might not be bad practice for you if you have a LinkedIn to maybe search from a profile that's not yours and see what you've got out there. I don't know how actually limited my profile is. I do remember making it kind of limited, so we'll see what we can actually find on me. Now you can see here that I'm a third plus connection, so I might not be able to see much results about me. Here you can see that, well, there is this backdrop. So let's take it step by step and see what we can see from my profile. My image is hidden, so obviously I'm not showing my image to people that aren't a connection of mine or maybe a first or second connection of mine. So there's no image here, but there's still information. Now, say there were an image, you should be able to right click it here, open image in new tab, and then you would be able to reverse image search that. Unfortunately, since that's not there, we don't have that opportunity. You have the ability here with this concept with this image. We can grab this banner image here, full size, go take it, and then try to reverse image search that and see if there's anything of particular. Another thing that we can point out, maybe we have a unique username up here. Maybe this is something different than what we've been using, or maybe we've tied this to our profile based on this username. But there could be some potential for going out to Google, checking on this username, seeing what we can find here. Other stuff that we might be able to identify. Well, we might be able to come in here and see if there's contact info. So if you look at contact info, you can see sometimes people's phone numbers are in here, their birth dates are in here, their email addresses are in here. There's a lot of personal information that I have seen just on a contact info page. So if you're watching this, check your contact info. Make sure you're not disclosing any information that you don't want to, because it's very easy to accidentally do that on LinkedIn. Now, here you can see that I am a paid member of LinkedIn. I've got a premium badge. You could find out some information about me. It says that I live in Washington, D.C. in the United States. So we can find location information. We can also see the activity that I have. So I'm going to open this in a new tab. But you can come through here and just kind of see what I've been up to. So what have I been posting? Even though my picture's private, I still have all this stuff here where I'm posting. You can see everything about my life and, just kind of what's going on here. So you can go through my history in this sense. The other thing that you can do too is you could say, okay, well, what else is here? Well, I'm a founder of something called TCM Security. So if I right click and open that up, that could lead to a whole nother avenue. Look, we have a new image to look for. We can look at about. We could look at the different postings that we have. Here's a phone number. We have the ability to look at where this company's headquartered. So that might tell you, where I live or where I have lived. You could see what people are on LinkedIn for this. So, who works at my company would be a good place to start. And you can see, depending on where you're at and, who you have connections with, the better LinkedIn works for you. So if you have an account that's connected to quite a few people, if you connect with say LinkedIn open networkers, they're called Lions. If you connect with those sorts of peoples, and let's see if we can just kind of type in Lion and see if that comes up. Basically, if you accept those people or you reach out to these people, they will accept your friend request. The issue is if you reach out to people and they don't know who you are and they say they don't know who you are, those people can say, I don't know who you are, and LinkedIn will eventually shadow ban you or completely ban you for just going out and just applying to people like that or requesting people like that. So my suggestion is to come out to some of these LinkedIn people and try to connect with some of these open networkers and see what you can do. But here, going back through, you can see all the different jobs or experience that I have and that I've worked. You could see potentially what education I have, although I have my education obfuscated here. I did not go to Ohio State Beauty Academy or Ohio State College of Barber and Styling. I'm just kind of being facetious when I put that stuff up there. But same thing with licenses. You can kind of understand what education I got, when I got it, possibly where I was during certain time frames. So that's a wealth of information. You could see who's endorsed me and for what. So a lot of people have endorsed me for ethical hacking, penetration testing, coaching. You can also see people that have given me recommendations. So I might know somebody here. Like you could see Heath worked directly with Cage in the same group. So this is somebody that I worked with. This is somebody that I did not work with, and it tells you that. And it even says, hey, who have I given a recommendation to, which tells you who I've worked with in the past. So this will give you an indication as to some of the people that I actually know directly well enough to either receive a recommendation from or to recommend. We have different projects here that I worked on, and you can get more information possibly from there, publications, any sort of interest. So you could see like this is a accounting firm. Epic was a group in Toledo, Ohio that I was in. There's all different sorts of things, like a veteran network. So that might indicate that I was part of the military. There's a lot of stuff that you can find. There's a possibility too, if you're able to make a connection then you can go through the individual's connections and actually see who their connections are and kind of go through it kind of step by step. So there's all sorts of things here that we have the ability to see. And again, I'm not going to go through every single possible detail. I feel like we've kind of covered that as we've gone through the course. Your wheels should be spinning now on how you can collect information, and everything is value. If you find a profile like this, you should be taking notes on everything that is pertinent to your investigation or your research. So I would be going through my activity, seeing what I can do here. And it also tells you, like, look, 16,000 followers on LinkedIn. That tells you how many connections beyond, potentially beyond, I have. Even though connections and followers are slightly different, you can tell that there's probably a high correlation. So there's thoughts here, right, that you can go through and look through this stuff, and hopefully this is starting to make sense now. So my recommendation is, if you're going to make a fake profile, you're going to make a sock account, maybe reach out to some people that you don't know to build your network. These people are usually well connected. And when they're well connected like that, you tend to start to reach out, because with LinkedIn, how it works, you need to be like a third connection or a second connection. You saw when I searched myself, I was a third plus. So I need to find somebody maybe that's connected to me, or yeah, to me if I wanted. And then I would go in there, add that person, and then get them. And now I'm a second connection to myself, if that makes sense. I know it's a little bit of inception, but my fake account would then be a second connection to this account. So something to think about how you might approach that. Definitely don't approach the wrong people, because you can get your account banned, possibly even shadow banned from LinkedIn. So just be careful when you approach it that way, and just try to be discreet when you're reaching out to some of these people as well. So hopefully that all makes sense. That is it for this video. We're going to go on and move on to the next video in this social media section. So I'll catch you over in the next video. And one final short video for this section, we're going to take a look at TikTok. Now, TikTok is one of those applications that when it first came out, holy crap, it was not secure whatsoever. There was so much information that was being leaked out there. They have actually done a better job when it comes to preventing some of the data leakage, and have kind of helped stop us in our tracks a little bit. Though I'll show you some of the information that you can gather. Back in the day, it used to be a platform called Musically, and Musically, you could see pretty much any information that you wanted. And I'll kind of bring up this page here. And this is just a popular TikToker here. So if you come up to TikTok.com and you just put the at and then the username, you could search that individual and find them here. What you used to be able to see, not only were all the public videos here, you could also see the likes. So you could see users' likes. Back in the day on TikTok as well, you could come in here and you were able to see a lot of stuff. Like if a user, say you come in here and you like this video and then the user deleted the video, it would still be stored in somebody else's likes. You would always be able to go back and access that. Even if the profile went private or anything along those lines, there was a lot of flaws that existed with this, and all kinds of crazy stuff on that platform. It was the wild, wild west back in the day. Nowadays, it's kind of locked down a little bit more. You can't even click in here and see who this user is following. You can't really see who their followers are. You used to be able to click on these sorts of things and get information. Some of the things you can do is obviously look at their videos, see the information that is possibly available to you, and kind of try to gather that sort of data. The other thing, similar to TikTok as well, is that you can right click on a picture, open that image in a new tab, and then guess what? You have this image in full size now that you can go and do reverse image searching on. So there's still data that we can gather off of profiles like this. And this might seem redundant because we've shown it before, but I do think it hammers down the concepts in your brains just a little bit. So keep in mind, pictures, videos, however you want it to be, say 1,000 words. This image here can be reverse image search. We can do a lot of stuff that we can kind of try to tie back to other users. Even though TikTok has done a good job of locking a lot of things down, there's still some OSINT that we can do based on a profile. Again, you can do Google searching and try to find information on that user for specifically for TikTok. See if there's any historical data out there. There's a lot of stuff that we can do that I'm not going to keep repeating over and over. But this is just another platform to be thinking about. And as new platforms come up, as new platforms are arriving on the scene, I think as of right now, there's a new platform out there, Parlor. There's just like they keep coming up. So like keep thinking about all the different platforms that are out there and ways that you could perhaps be searching these platforms for information when you're looking for an individual or you're looking for information about something specific. So that is it for this section. From here, we're going to move on to one of my favorite topics, which is website OSINT, and I will see you over in that section. We have reached the end of our 4.5 hours together. I hope that this course has been enjoyable for you. And again, if you are interested in seeing the other half of this course, you can do so at the TCM Security Academy. I'll provide a link in the description as always. And please, please do consider hitting that like button and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications when we post more content like this course or like other ethical hacking courses or any cybersecurity related content at all. We would love to have you as a subscriber and keep you up to date on the latest cybersecurity trends and tools and news. So until next time, my name is Heath Adams, aka the Cyber Mentor, and I do thank you for joining me. Peace out.